and welcome to the Love Island recap podcast by Parade Magazine. I'm Kelsey Barberio, and I've got Mike Bloom with me here.
Kelsey,
Hey,
hello. I am so pumped to talk about this. Listen, I know my way around these streets. I'm relatively promiscuous when it comes to my reality TV, but Love Island has been a new yet very fun partner, and I'm ready to take a full picture look at the season so far, 2020 or even 2013.
yes, I mean, we thank you for watching, 18 hours of television to be able to do this with me.
I mean, the pleasure is all mine. Listen, I'm gearing up for Big Brother season where my eyes are glued to a screen all day long anyway. So let's throw some heavy petting onto that and some drama for good measure.
Well, this season, I feel like had a bit of a slower start compared to some other Love Island seasons. You and I had spoken about it kind of in the office a little bit about there wasn't as much drama. It felt like everybody was kind of like paired off.
Okay, Soul.
Right? I know I'm being sold now. Oh my gosh. But she had a point. The girl, she was speaking the truth. No, it took a second, but now I feel like we're back.
Yeah, that's the thing is, it's weird to say that it gets off to a slow start because what I will say for this particular season of Love Island is that they're really showcasing how really we're not on broadcast anymore. Like this has to be one of the most like sexually explicit, not only seasons of Love Island, but seasons of reality TV that I have seen. I've been trying to remember. You've seen more premieres than I have, but like it was so makeout centric.
I
And
was
it,
horrified.
my God, like talk about the world's worst idea of a first impression of, I'd rather flatten my tongue about my likes and dislikes than sticking my tongue down somebody's mouth within like minutes of meeting them. But they got them off on that foot, really encouraging them to get physical, which has only somehow magnified over the course of this. We've had multiple challenges involving feet. But I suppose to your point, this season maybe got off on a bit of the wrong foot. I mean, it's tough to follow up, especially season 6 and 7, which I think has been the burgeoning of popularity from a Love Island USA perspective. Of course, season 6 had an immense amount of popularity around it. Season 7, say what you want to about certain cast members, had a lot of like heroes and villains. And this one in particular, I mean, we'll get into, I'm sure, some people that we like or don't necessarily like, but I'm kind of in more of a meh territory around all of them as people. And maybe it's because we don't really know them as people, even more than halfway through.
Right. I mean, the beginning, the makeouts were just so extreme. Like, I think it was also that they showed it in such graphic detail and they kept the sound on for all these people. And I think I was immediately like, I'm a little horrified by these people. Like, this is disgusting. Usually they have like, a nice musical interlude. We were missing the musical interlude.
Yeah, shout out to everyone who's got misophonia, because I'm sure they tuned out of this season immediately with all the smacking and other noises that were happening. The French fries.
The French fries. Oh my gosh. In like last night's episode, I'm not sure if you're totally 100% caught up, but they could not have put more feet in mouths.
Yep.
Simply couldn't.
I mean,
So,
to be fair, a lot of these guys are also putting their foot in their mouth, so I think it's only apropos.
Yes. But no, I totally agree with you. They could not have made it more sexually explicit if they tried. It's like it was so bad last night, I think, that they actually couldn't show certain parts of it.
Yes, there was a when they rolled the nibble portion of the evening, like there's a very explicit cutaway. And if they do it for this season, you know that it was clearly risque. But all that is to say that, yeah, it does feel like there was some interesting drama, some love. I don't know if like triangles or pentagons or hexagons, whatever the polygon is, going on for a little portion of time. But things got settled kind of into a little bit of a status quo, which was the perfect time for Casa Amor to arrive. And I gotta say, not to say that like Sunday's episode completely redeemed the season as a whole, but I will say that is one of the greatest Father's Day gifts I've received in quite some time. It was an excellent hour plus of television.
I mean, that was the first time I wasn't like, simultaneously scrolling my phone. I was like, wait, I need to lock in. This is everything to me. Like the present, when they brought out the big present for the girls, because at first I was like, it shocked me. I knew that it was going to be a Casa episode. Everybody knew.
Yeah.
But like, usually the heart rate challenge is such a big deal. I was like, wow, they're going to like really take their time getting to Casa. It must be at the very end. No, certainly not. And then they roll out the big gift and the girls have to watch. I was like, this is painful.
That's the thing. It felt a little exploitative, but A, sort of comes with the territory of reality TV, and it made for just such incredible television. Do you think when they yelled, like, F Casa at the end, that they actually heard them? I mean, we could get into this. There's been some geographical discrepancies when it comes to the islands of Fiji in general, but I don't know if they actually heard them shouting all the way from the villa.
Wait, was it you that was telling me that they could hear the Survivor people can hear the Love Island music?
Okay, let's
Okay, so
get
then
into
this
this.
makes me believe it.
We can clear this up right at the top here because this is like one of my very few wheelhouses that I could speak to. And apologies for taking things off the rails immediately, but come
You're
on,
good.
Love Island. What are we doing? This is not Dostoevsky here. Because yes, Survivor and Love Island both film in the beautiful islands of Fiji at this point. And there has been some scuttlebutt that's been going around of like Survivor players claim they could hear the Love Island music or they could see the Love Island lights. And I would say that's a mistruth to a certain extent. Going a little geographical here. Yes, both shows do film in Fiji, but Survivor films in an area of Fiji known as the Mamanuca Islands, whereas Love Island films on like the main Fijian island in a place called Nadi. That's where if you fly into Fiji, that's where you land. You don't hit the water at any point in time. So people who are living on the islands in Survivor, where everything is primarily housed, it's about like a 30 to 45-minute boat ride to get there. So the people who are actually playing Survivor would hear neither hide nor hair of anything going on from Love Island. But when Survivor players are eliminated, they are put in sort of a separate holding area. It's known as Ponderosa, where the eliminated contestants go. And that place is either close to that main island or on that main island. In fact, some previous seasons have said that they actually were in where the Love Island villa would be, that it was sort of made over into that after a couple of years. So I do think those people would have seen any scuttlebutt going on with the villa, but they were not of players starving on a beach competing in challenges. These are people that are well-read, well, maybe not well-read, but well-rested, fed, and, you know, maybe take a little bit of a looky-loo as to what might be going on the other side.
Okay, well, that's fair. But see, if they can hear the music, then I bet they can hear Kenzie screaming F you at the top of her lungs.
That's true. Listen, she's a loud personality, and I don't know if it's a loud voice as well. We know that Melanie is a loud person.
I think that they're all loud. I think that's the whole point. They're like, I think that, okay, so I'm usually a UK fan. This is my first, my second USA season that I've watched all the way through. I watched season 1, which honestly barely even counts as a Love Island season, if you ask me.
Yeah, back when it was on CBS.
It was so quick. None of this hanky-panky, certainly. But no, being a UK fan, I feel like the differences are pretty dramatic between the two. Like, it's easier to watch the British people and like not feel as personally offended because I'm like, okay, some of these people, they're coming across a little dumb. And I'm like, it's making America look terrible. We don't need any more bad PR. But then you watch the UK and you're like, they seem smart because they have good accents.
That's the thing too. There is a certain wittiness that comes with maybe like a baseline level of British people. Actually, I got the chance to talk with Ian Serling, who is the narrator for both shows, and he pointed out something interesting because I did ask him what does he feel is the chief differences between the US and UK Islanders, and he actually says that he feels like the US Islanders, and maybe this is more of a generational thing, he finds that the US men are actually more open and vulnerable with their feelings than the UK men. That maybe with the UK men, there is still this sense of bravado, whether intentional or not. And the US men are ironic, of course, because I think we'll get into a couple of these people that maybe dispute the fact, in touch with their feelings a little bit more, or at least are more open to expressing when they feel troubled or, torn about something.
No, I agree. I think that the biggest difference that I've heard people discuss between the two, I mean, yes, I agree with you on I think Ian's right that the men tend to open up a little bit more. I think that's a British thing in general, just to be maybe a little bit more closed off in terms of letting your freak flag fly. But I think that the biggest difference too is that in the US, it almost feels like they know how to play the game a little bit more. Like
Mm.
in UK, they're very open about the fact that they're going to be trying out different relationships. Whereas like I think that almost every single couple that was there on day one has kind of held firm, even though I'm not sure that they actually are the like ultimately very compatible.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Because there obviously it's led to a lot of discrepancies. KC and Anaya, right? That was like their big disagreement is like, should you be allowed to explore versus should you be sort of closed off? No one's formally done it yet, but with your day one person. I mean, how much of that do you feel like is part and parcel with the Love Island concept?
I mean, I think that they should be able to explore, but I think that if they really don't want to, like if they truly feel like they found something spectacular, they should be able to be closed off if they want to be. But I also feel like this season in particular, like everybody was too afraid. And then the people that did choose to explore, so to speak, like Kenzie had what, two partners, three partners? Um, like she was villainized for it.
That's the thing is I talk about this all the time with other reality shows that oftentimes like what's so weird about these things is that kind of the general rules of operation are determined by the contestants. There are literal rules that contestants follow, but it's sort of like okay, the players create the laws of like what flies and what doesn't fly. And it does seem like this season, what was sort of valued more is less this idea of exploring, or at least like if you are exploring, to be completely honest with everybody about where you stand. I also do wonder as well, obviously, especially as this show's popularity grows, there is a large amount of discussion around like the fandom and, the fact that these people have become outright celebrities and influencers as a result of this show. And not to say that like they cast a huge amount of super duper Love Island fans for this season, but I also have to wonder if I was in there and I was thinking about the game, as you mentioned, like you could also have half a mind to wonder like if I dump this person my day one and get to this other person, I could get voted into the bottom three. People would get pissed at me. I could lose out on my chance at $100,000.
Right. I think that that's very much happening. And I do think that the fandom has really come into play, especially on this season. I think I was seeing, I think it was on a podcast, maybe like Vile Files. They were talking about to a producer who was saying that they actually do read Reddit, which
Really?
because the show is so real time compared to most reality shows, they're able to actually act on things. So like the feedback that so many of us had, like, ew, the makeouts are so bad. Like, please, for the love of God, stop letting them make out like that. They take that feedback into account. And when we say
Or
we're this bored, they're like, okay, what are we gonna do?
or even like I feel in the first couple of weeks, people were like, "Oh, oops, too many bombshells," because we
Yeah.
brought in what like four or five, and then there was like a real dry period where nobody came in, and maybe that's something that soul was speaking to. I mean, what I would argue to the producers is like, get some of those redditors and maybe hire them to do background checks before the season starts, and that
It
might help a lot of
is.
problems.
Yeah. So speaking of, there's the drama with the Casa Amor bombshell Alana.
Hmm.
To my understanding, there were some, I'm not even sure if the actual videos are out, but there were screenshots minimally of her using racist language. In the past, people have been kicked off for far less.
Yep,
And
including on this very season.
yeah. Um, and so I think that it's interesting that they wouldn't have known that. But I also do think there's a world like if it was just Snapchats, it's not publicly posted. So there is a world where there's no way the producers would have known until her friends or acquaintances or whoever is now trying to get a little clout, maybe, or they're just trying to out her for how, like who she truly is,
Yeah,
until they come out with it.
that's the thing is that listen, like objectively, what she has been saying is not good, is
Right.
incredibly offensive and harmful. But yeah, there has been a lot of discussion, especially again with the burgeoning popularity of the show, of like, okay, are there people kind of strategically withholding this information until people get announced and then they say, oh, yeah, by the way, this happened. We saw this with the case. Not this wasn't the case necessarily with Sierra, but that was a whole saga last year, right? Where she lasted over 2/3, 3/4 of the season before information finally came out, and then she got removed. And this is always a bit of a sticky question as well, right? Like I personally feel like It does make sense. You don't want to necessarily have people on the show that you feel are carrying really heavy prejudices or biases, especially in a show that on paper should be like everyone should get a fair chance with everybody else. Certainly, a lot of the people, or maybe not so many this season, feel that way as well. But it also is always a really interesting discussion. This gets talked about a bit with Big Brother as well, of like people who use harmful language or exact those biases on the show, of like how much should producers be playing a role in making sure that these people of certain beliefs get removed versus kind of like making it more of a natural process and making it feel a little less, for lack of a better term, Big Brother from an Orwellian perspective of like, okay, well, you did this thing, then we're going to have to pull you.
No, I think that's a really good point because so for Alana in
Mhm.
last night's episode, it seems like they she wasn't shown nearly as much as she was, but I
She
don't
she
think
was she was still on it. Like
she was definitely
she was
there,
still in bed with Zach.
but she got no I don't even think she ever spoke.
No, I don't think so.
And I think that if she's with Zach, it seems like Zach very much is Team Trinity at this moment in time. So, like you're saying, it seems like she could just like kind of see herself off. But I mean, because it doesn't seem like she's making a connection that's strong enough, really.
Yeah, I mean, the one conversation that we saw was capital W Wild, if you remember, where because Zach, for those who don't remember, is the brother of Charlie from season 7, and I think like Love Island games, and she basically starts by saying, "Oh, by the way, I hooked up with your brother once, or I made out with him at a party," and then she follows it up by saying, "I'm a mom." And I thought, like, oh god, are we getting into another Hutta situation? It's just to a beautiful cat named Mewtwo. So she just comes out of the gate swinging. And so, I mean, the other thing too is we don't know how things are getting on just because we haven't really seen them. And I believe Love Island films like 1 to 2 days in advance just due to the time zones and everything before the episodes make air. So for all we know, like now could have been the time that producers decided to remove Alana and now they just sort of expended all the footage of her. Or as you're mentioning, listen, we're approaching Friday, which I imagine is going to be like the big recoupling. Maybe they're just going to kind of let her go quietly into that good night if they feel like this will kind of sort itself out.
Right. And I will say, I think she kind of, if the allegations, if like these screenshots, things that we're seeing are true, she really kind of leaned into that in her intro.
And in her choice of men
Yes.
during
Like,
her entrance into the villa.
right. She really, I mean, she only made out with the white guys.
Yeah. But she walked
It's
flat right over to Sincere, who was the last guy, and was like, I'm just going to shake my butt in your face. You can't even touch me.
that was insane behavior. I mean, this is a show where like it's so like incestual between the couples. Like I mean, you make out with everybody. It's like almost in a challenge, it doesn't even count, I think.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's weird because in some cases it does. Obviously, when we talk about Zach, like the only real point of tension between him and Keda throughout this entire thing was him being like, "Oh my God, she had a talk with Caleb, and then Caleb pulled her aside in the Prince game. What am I to do?" But otherwise, yeah, it is just kind of like a general rule of thumb. I know we're kind of going all over the place, but I
Yeah.
do feel like one of the things that has been missing from this season is the variety in challenges. It does seem like
Yeah.
it's all about, like, slime and spit swapping.
I know. I was like, why are they so like I do think that we could rework the challenges as a whole. Like I get that why they exist, but I feel like they're not very interesting or like they don't really have a point.
Well, I think that the first one I really enjoy, right, which is, like, getting to know people, pushing them in the pool, and I feel like somehow we've deviated from that more. Again, that's the weird thing about this season, is I don't feel like I know anybody as individuals. I only know them within this snow globe that is Love Island, and at any rate, that's them in relation to the other people around them. And so I wanna find out more about, like, when Bryce reveals that he plays the trombone, it's like, this is a weird fun fact that I wanted, and it allows us to connect with them more as well, rather than just them as a couple. So I would love more of those like get to know you type of things. I am glad that they've steered more into a bit of like the spicy questions, the touchy subjects of like, which Islander do you think is putting on a farce for their partner? It's fun to sort of bring up drama in that way. But I want things of like couples testing their knowledge of one another. I want to add like rewards in there of like a couple wins the challenge and they get a date or a night in the hideaway.
Right.
I'm
There have
so
been no
surprised.
dates.
So the only reason I might wonder about that, because I totally thought when it was when it was Keda and Gabriel who came in first and they took those two people away. Yes, they sort of like had their night away, but like I thought it would be the traditional thing of like, okay, bombshell, you pull 2 to 3 people for a date. So in following Survivor, which is filming season 52 right now, apparently Fiji is going through a lot of nasty weather. Like there's a lot of
Mm.
big storms that have been rolling in. We saw this in one episode when it was just like raining all day. I do wonder if maybe they had more stuff planned, but because the weather has been so bad, they've had to pivot and do less voyages outside of the villa because we barely left there. That's the only reason I could think of it.
Right. Because I mean, the joke that Ian Sterling always makes is that the dates are like comically minimal. Like it's basically just them in a different location with a bottle of champagne, like
Yeah.
almost always, except for the final dates, which can be a little bit more spectacular. But I mean, yeah, the fact they're not even doing that is interesting. And I wonder if it is something to do with weather. Although we haven't seen the weather aside from that one episode. You're right. Not really.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, again, they're filming like 1 to 2 days ahead of time, so maybe like they're trying to compact days within one another or edit around it. But yeah, there just might be some logistical stuff because I can't imagine like budgets have shrank so much or like production wants to tamp down on the dates. I can't imagine, given the success of the show the past couple of years, they would want to do that. If anything, they would want to expand upon it. So like, it only makes logical sense for me that there's literal factors that constrains them from doing so.
Right. No, I totally agree. I think that yeah, it's got to be something because it seems like if anything, like the cinematography is better than it's ever been. Like they did that whole music video.
Oh my god, which I will say that is a fun location in Fiji. I've been there before. It's called Cloud 9. It is a barge restaurant out in the middle of the ocean that serves pizza. It's such an incredible experience. And so it was a little bit of like me, Leo, pointing at the screen when they ended the music video, which is objectively hilarious. I know they've done this the past couple of times, but like um, I don't think when these people sign up to do this show, they're like, okay, and you're also gonna lip sync in a music video to start the
Right.
season. And I'll give them credit. It seemed like this season they were all particularly game to do it.
No, they really were. Wait, how many times have you been to Fiji? Because you've gone so many times for Survivor.
5 times
Wow.
now.
And I feel like that's been in like the last 2 years, but I might be wrong. I feel like you're
I
always in Fiji.
packed a lot in there. But yeah, they've gone to Cloud 9 and other Fiji locations. So that's another reason why we need to do dates outside of the villa so I can have more abilities to shout out places that I've been to personally.
Absolutely. So, okay, I would love to talk through which couples you think are the most likely to actually survive Casa.
Okay. Yeah, because we've gotten a little bit more perspective into this, right? Like, I think everyone came into Casa with an open mind. I think for a lot of women, their hand was kind of forced when they saw what these guys were doing. I mean,
Which
number
is
one
sheer
with the
brilliance because they never would have done anything otherwise.
yeah, and it's so good because like, I mean, maybe it's because we haven't seen the movie night in a while, but like, guys, why are you saying these things? Like, I guess I understand bro culture and I know your libido taking over your thinking capacity, but like Corbin, my dude, she barely touched your lap, and you're like, "Yep, I'm done with Kenzie." He's wild, man.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say that Corbin and Kenzie are probably not going to they're probably going to recouple.
Oh, she has declared multiple times that is the
Wow,
case. And I
they'd
mean, it
split.
doesn't seem like necessarily he's like, "Oh, I'm so committed to her until we're gonna face like a heartbreak situation where he comes back uncoupled, but she will." But yeah, I think if we're going on sort of like a spectrum here, they are far and away, besides obviously Caleb and Jen, who don't technically have anybody, they are most likely the ones to come back with brand new people. Kenzie especially. And listen, like that guy that she's with honestly seems like the best partner for her out of all of this. That's the weird thing about Corbin is like, yes, you know, Caleb, this is a pure representation of like they could find the perfect person for you on paper, but if it doesn't match, it doesn't match. But like, I've always found like their relationship has been purely carnal at base level. Like the two of them have had no in-depth conversation, whether they were coupled up or not, basically the entire subtext, the entire chats they've had is just that they want to jump each other's bones.
Yeah, it's all
And
about that
so
French fry.
it's all about that French fry. So now that they're going to McDonald's and Burger King and shopping around a little bit, and they're realizing, like, especially from Kenzie's perspective, oh, I could get that and actually have like a personal conversation as opposed to, the man they joke is a robot because he basically doesn't have any personal depth to him, to the point where his very first night, he says the exact same line to multiple women. He is not beating the ChatGPT generated accusations.
No, it's so true. So I agree. I think that those two are probably the least likely to come back together.
Well, I think especially Kenzie, is trying to also subscribe to this philosophy, like being the roster girl, right? And she
Yeah.
certainly accrued one over the course of her time. And even if she felt kind of locked down with Corbin, I think she is one of the people to subscribe to a bit of a more of an easy come, easy go mentality, especially if, again, she just feels so slighted, Kelsey, that she submits to the angry splits.
The angry splits were everything to me. I was like, this is exactly what I look for in a reality star. She is unhinged in the best way.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, not a lot of huge crash outs in this season, but like it's right up there between angry splits and of course Melanie's infamous "Give Me 10." There's not a lot to choose between, but like both fantastic in their own right.
Truly. Well, for Melanie and Sincere, I'm leaning more towards I don't think they're going to come back together. I think they might get
Really?
back together when they come back to the villa, but I could
Yes.
see them bringing somebody from Casa.
That's interesting because I feel like Sincere, who is an entire enigma in and of itself, like not since a cartoonish gangster being named Tiny have we heard a more ironic name of a person. Because listen, there are all sorts of complications involved, right, with getting feelings for all of these people, but like he did both Soul and Melanie absolutely dirty at different points in time and simultaneously as well. For him to, like, I will say, string Soul along, to not allude to whatsoever that he was very clearly committed to Melanie and was just kind of being forced into this Soul thing by America. And then when he was confronted by that fact to then respond to be like, well, you're no angel yourself, is absolutely buck wild. But I think from his perspective, honestly, I feel like he's like, okay, I found my person. Like, I was tested. I came out at the end of this. Melanie might be feeling a certain way after she had this conversation with, what's his name, Corey? I think it was Corey, and then it was also the one that looks like Jalen Hurts from the Eagles. Both of them told her basically, and this is a really fun thing about Love Island, is that because it's in real time, people who come in sort of have intel they can communicate for that these Islanders don't know.
Yeah,
And
like
so,
Sincere is being insincere behind your back.
and it's not to say this is necessarily information that Melanie has not been aware of, but it is a bit of confirmation bias, I would imagine, on her end. And so I could see her having some second thoughts. So I might meet you halfway there, where I don't think Sincere will come back with somebody new. I think he's very much in the territory of like, I will try stuff out because it's the name of the game, but like my heart is with Melanie now. I'm committed. But Melanie may get in her head about this, as she usually does, and may choose to pick one of the guys to move forward with.
I mean, it looked like she was hearing exactly what she wanted to hear,
Mm-hmm.
which, can be like a sign that it's meant to be, but it could also be a sign that this guy just knows what he's saying. But I thought that I'm happy to see her with somebody who could maybe be a little bit better for her because I have not enjoyed her and Sincere together.
No, because it wasn't even a matter of like, oh my god, they were separated, but they found their way back to each other. Because even before that, like Sincere was effing around with her, right? Like
Always.
absolutely toying with her. There was this weird thing of like, okay, well, I was showing interest in this person because you were showing interest in this person, and sort of like this revenge hookup that was going on. So I don't think they're particularly right for one another. And so it might be better if they do pursue different partners, even if inevitably they're going to be drawn back to each other again.
Right. What about KC and Anaya? I feel like at one point they were one of the strongest. And I do think that's maybe faltered a little.
A little.
A little.
Absolutely. Because that's the one thing is I feel like one of the tropes that exists in every Love Island season is like the mom and dad couple of like, oh, they're so locked in from the beginning that like they can give wise counsel to all the other troubled couples around them. But this is a case where like mom and dad aren't doing so great either. And I think it is just a fundamental mismatch between Casey and Anaya. I think they need things that exist in different people than the other person. I think that Anaya needs somebody who feels like they can be incredibly vocal and with both their actions and their words about being like committed to them and only them. I do feel bad for Anaya because seems like a very lovely person, but she does seem like very paranoid person, especially in a game like this, where it's like any sort of minor look or conversation has her in her head about, is Casey having second thoughts? Does it help when you find out, like, yeah, he was telling everybody that he wants to entertain Sticky with Soul if she stays in the villa? Not a great thing to hear, so I don't begrudge her really too much for anything, but it's clear that this Love Island, square dance, multiple partner situation is not something that's ideal for her. And for KC, he's looking for someone that wants more PDA. I think one of the reasons why he was bringing up this soul stuff is because he felt like he was getting frustrated of like, come on, when we're in our big communal bedroom, why can't I feel you up under the covers like everybody else? Why can't we have a Jen and Gabriel situation?
It is so funny. Some seasons they are hooking up in the room, and then some seasons they really don't. And this is definitely a hooking up in the room situation.
But again, I don't begrudge Anaya. It's an objectively weird situation, but like clearly Casey.
And your mom is watching. Like, ew.
Yeah, absolutely. But clearly Casey wanted something out of that from a physical perspective that Anaya wasn't giving him. And it was just leading their relationship to get more and more strained. And so I do feel like now Casey was not as flagrant as Corbin in the way of like being caught in 4K, being like, yeah, screw my partner. But I feel like, especially as Anaya is opening herself up more to possibilities, I think she's starting to realize a little bit more of the grass being greener. So I would actually say besides Kenzie and Corbin, surprisingly, they might be second on my list in terms of who's going to come back coupled up respectively with somebody different.
I mean, I hope they do. I also think Casey was really glad that he felt like he was finally getting the attention he deserved over in Casa. But do you think that the reason nobody stepped forward for him or was on the dot, whatever they had them do,
which was the first great meme of the season, was it was the doors, right? And he opened the door and nobody was there.
Which is always the secondhand embarrassment I have for when that sort of thing is happening. I'm just dying.
Or like opening the mailbox.
Right. Oh God, the mailbox. Do you blame more his lack of love for animals and love instead for plants, or the pink suit for the fact that none of the girls were willing to be behind his door?
I think it's got to be the plants, because that's such a weird answer. Though I guess, Sincere, who sincerely answered like, yeah, I'll go through my partner's texts. Like, I guess he had a rationale behind it, and I guess he had enough green flags to perhaps counteract that. Casey had nothing but red or pink flags, I suppose. It's just not making good first impressions all around.
So true. So true. Okay, other couples we have Zach and Keda. I think that Zach is going to stay. I think Keda might twist.
Yeah, it's interesting because of the way things were left, right? Again, it was the most on the rocks that they have been, which has been incredibly smooth sailing. I mean, Keda has been approached multiple times, often by the same man who is also approaching Zach, of like, okay, let's get together, and she has refused him every single time. But I do feel like, unfortunately, it was the perfect time for them to split apart. I mean, Zach has been making these like joke, not jokes throughout the entire season, right? Even after their night in the highway, he's like, okay, but then I'll entertain a conversation with the bombshell, right? Like, I think that he's kidding, but I think they could very easily be taken as like, why are you mentioning this right here, right now? I do think their night in the hideaway might win out at the end of the day, that like, above all, they had that very intimate moment, and that's something that cannot be taken away from them. I think from Zach's perspective, it's more so this, not even second thoughts, but I have to imagine if you are as locked in with the person from day one as they were, because again, Keda shows up pretty much from like night 2. Like, given the nature of the game, I think it makes sense for you to occasionally have these types of shower thoughts of like, okay, not am I settling, but like, did I partner up with somebody not opening myself up to other possibilities when that is sort of the nature of things in general, even if it's not this season. I do think, again, maybe because we haven't been shown what's been going on with Zach for good reason, I think that he will stay loyal. I'm not sure about Keda at
Yeah.
this point. Like, as much tension as there was, I don't think there was as much of a non-negotiable going on with what she saw of Zach to be like, I'm done with him. We can't let this happen. I don't think that obfuscates all the great stuff they had built up so far up until the past couple episodes.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I kind of really question I don't think that they have a long-term chance to really work out, unfortunately. Based on like their personalities, I don't think they're a great match. But in general, also, does he not live in the UK?
That's a good point.
Like
That might not help things necessarily. Though I don't know. Again, if the goal is to become an influencer from this, that's a job you can really do
from
from
anywhere.
anywhere. I will also say, maybe it's because we didn't get a lot of his brother last season, but I was nervous early on because Charlie, listen, had a very dramatic elimination, but like had a bit of a personality of cardboard, and I was worried Zach would be in the same direction. But like, listen, he's certainly providing a lot more content between his stuff with Keda and especially his stuff with Bryce.
That stuff is, I mean,
I mean, he
it's
saw his
so
stuff.
egregious. Like, it's the editors have to be in on it.
Oh, 100%. How do you not show that scene of him stretching out his hamstring and not be in on it?
Like, did they not look at each other's dicks? Like, it was
I mean,
insane behavior.
locker room
Insane.
culture, maybe, but like, listen,
Is that locker room culture,
maybe
Mike?
they're
I
trying to
don't know.
piggyback off of like the heated rivalry of it all, right? Like, okay, let's create our own sort of like let's let the fan fiction writers get to work here and create Zach. But with the weird thing about this though is like for a while they were each other's most active competition, but there's this weird thing where it's like when Bryce went to Zach is like, yeah, I'm gonna go for Keda again, and Zach like basically laughs in his face like, good luck, bro. Yeah, sure, let's have a fun night. Why don't you go do that again and turn right back around revolving door style, see how that goes for you. It is kind of wild on paper that like they would be the best friends out there and maybe a little something more. I mean, lock it in though. Like the two of them are going to have so many collaborations together after
Oh,
this. Like
so many.
I think again, maybe it speaks to this season that despite all the coupling that has been happening, this has probably been the biggest partnership talking point of the entire Love Island fan base.
I mean, I ship them. I do.
I think they work well together.
I'm game. I'm like, if you guys want to be together, I would love a bisexual season of Love Island. I think
Yeah.
that would be more entertaining than anything we've ever seen.
It's called Are You the One? Season 8. I don't know if it's still on Paramount Plus, but that is an incredible season of reality. But we got that like a skosh in, was it the second UK season, right? Where one of the women decided to couple up with another woman at some point in the season?
I haven't seen season 2, but I believe you. And I can see that being a fabulous plot point.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I would love it if in the finale, because there's a good chance they'll both make the finale, if like they leave each other's dates behind and passionately embrace and say like, we're doing our own impromptu recoupling. Now you have to vote for Zach and Bryce to win. And honestly, they would stand a fairly good chance of taking home the money.
Oh, they would win it all. I think.
I don't know. Because I feel like one of the remaining couples we haven't talked about, Bryce and Trinity, I think lock it in right now, Kelsey. In 2 weeks' time, whenever we end this whole shebang, I think they are the odds-on favorite to take home the money right here, right now.
I, for some reason, don't find them believable as a couple. I do think that they are enjoying each other's presence. I think they've got a great friendship that they've built. I think that they are a friendship couple.
I mean, it's weird, right? Because I definitely agree with you at the outset. I mean, sort of because nobody really wanted Bryce and his turtle tongue, which has also been a very fun recurring bit that like nobody likes kissing Bryce except for Trinity.
Also, he's the ripe old age of 29. So old.
I was gonna say,
and possibly
and robbing the cradle right there. But like, then we got a little. I think they were trying to build up a little bit of like a friends to lovers thing, right? I mean, Bryce even talks about it about like you want to set up that sort of that you don't want to come in with just complete physical lust for each other and then get to know one another. At least like now a friendship is built and then see where it goes from there. And so on paper, yeah, like they seem one of the least compatible couples there. But A, they seem like one of the most cohesive couples there up to this point. B, I think people online love Trinity, which, like, what's
Yeah.
not to love? I think she's such a great personality. And C, look at what's been going on with Casa. You know, they have
Yeah.
both had Casa Amor. I think I saw like a Vulture review that's so adequately compared to like the prisoner's dilemma of reality TV, where it's like, all right, you and your partner are squared away. Are you going to take the deal or are you going to send the other person to jail? And this is those instances where like both of them were entertaining conversations, but like now they're pining for one another. And so I think if there were any sort of limits to them being more goo-goo over each other, I think that's going to be eradicated when they inevitably come back together. They're not going to partner up with other people, and it's going to draw them closer to one another. That's going to fuel their fires, which I think only furthers the narrative. I honestly can't see, maybe KC and Anaya had a shot, but because they've been so on the rocks, I just don't really see a leader in the clubhouse yet. And I don't really see like an Amaya situation from last season where it's like one person so popular that she or he can find whomever under the sun and take him for a win.
Right. I mean, there was no sadder scene than when Bryce was like, was he in his confessional and he's like crying because he misses Trinity so much and she's off like making out in a photo booth.
God, I love Love Island episode endings because they always try, even though I'm sure did not time out whatsoever, they adore doing that so much of like, you know, what was it like Anaya finds out that Casey wanted Soul as like Casey's talking about how much he adores her. Like they love to find the perfect ironic button to each and every episode. I can't imagine how tough it is to edit these episodes considering how quick of a turnaround time is, but man, they always find a way to leave you wanting more.
They really do. And before we wrap, I wanted to bring up a hilarious thing that I discovered this morning. It is an account with, I think, like 1,000 followers. Gaul, I think is how you pronounce his name. It looks like Gal, but I think it's
Yes, there's
Gaul.
the like mustachioed man that's with
Yes.
Jen right now. Which
Yes.
also we didn't mention Caleb and Jen, probably for good reason. Is
Yeah.
like I
This
mean
was the
like
best thing that could have happened to them.
I liked the face crack of getting rid of Gabriel, and like I do understand the women's logic of like, first off, objectively funny thing for Bryce to say of this being the biggest example of slut shaming he's ever seen. But like from their example, right? Like this is a guy that would just like, maybe he was getting to know Jen, but like with his hands, not necessarily with his words. And so if they feel like that's just a red flag of like, okay, he's here to mainly hook up with people and like actually not get to know anybody, then what is he doing here? But when it comes at the cost of like keeping in Caleb, who seems like a very nice guy and yes, was kind of rubbed raw by everything going on with Kenzie, but like is not bringing anything to the table. And like Jen, I felt bad for as well. And I'm glad that she's finding someone. But again, nothing to really write home about in the personality department either.
No, no. I think Soul had a lot more personality, but I think Soul was having a lot of sad girl hours, and
Oh, yeah. I mean, I
it
think
was a
the,
little
the,
tough
the
to
guys
watch.
getting rid of her was for myriad reasons. One, because of the sincere doll, but I think also like at the point where the recoupling was happening, I think they just felt like they did not want her presence in the villa anymore. Like, I think she would have just continued to go kamikaze on them should she have stayed in the game.
Totally. Well, so now that Jen is moving on with Gaul, he has 5 siblings who have started a fan account for him, and they are just trolling him, and it is absolutely hilarious. Like, I guess people have said that they think that Gaul is gay or something, and they're like, no, this is our gay brother." And they're they're posting the gay brother. They've got videos of themselves watching his entrance to the villa and like reacting to everything and being like, "Oh my god, mom, don't watch this." It is so lovely, and I'm having a great time with it.
Can I say on that note, the unsung heroes of Love Island USA are the people who run the Islanders accounts during the season. Because, like, you see how much these people get their Instagram, their TikTok accounts blown up as a result of being on the show. But obviously, they're not running it. It's run by their friends, their family. So, like, much like the people who, like, run those snarky corporate accounts for various businesses, the Wendy's account is an example. Shout out to the people that like are really holding down the fort and trying to make content for their loved one or their family member or their friend out there, and hopefully adding some, some nice ribbing along the way.
I have seen though that some people are taking advantage of that and they are creating fake accounts that are commenting like statements in response to things, but it's not like coming from Kenzie's people or
Oh, I
whatever.
mean,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Again, like you were talking about with perhaps the timing of certain information being uncovered. Like, if there is a way to monetize it, either literally or from a clout perspective, people as a whole will absolutely take it. So it does not surprise me in the least that people can just adopt a Corbin profile pic and say like Corbin updates and then provide official releases as to, how he feels or how his family feels about what's been going down.
Absolutely.
Watch out for fake news, people.
Watch out for it. It's very serious. Well, Mike, thank you so much for chatting with me about Love Island. I feel like this was insightful. Thank you for all your Fiji knowledge. And I hope we can do this on a weekly basis for everybody.
I would love that as well. Let us know, all you Love Island fans out there. This is something new, obviously, that we're trying. If you want to hear more discussions, again, there's only a few weeks left, but I think they cram so much into these episodes, and hopefully, Casa has stirred enough up that it should be a more interesting endgame, certainly more than it was the first few weeks. So let your voice be heard across the board, and we will respond much like the producers do. Be the Redditors, and we'll be the Love Island producers and be able to respond based on that.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. And we will talk to you next week.